Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your home for artisanally made Bible study packed with Bible proteins and salt or probiotics. I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, it's as good for you. It's good stuff. We're in Psalm 119 this week, the Calf division, and we're looking at verses 84 and 85 today. So I hope you'll grab your Bibles and join me. We're going to be looking today at verses 84 and 85. Let me just read those for you. How many are the days of your servant? When will you make a judgment on my persecutors? The perverse have dug pits for me, which is not according to your law. Now we find the persecution takes a face. We see him talking about the soul wasting, the eyes longing. I'm like a wineskin in the smoke. I'm shriveled and useless. I've not forgotten your law, your statutes. And then we see the face of the persecution in those that are persecuting him, his pursuers. Notice the language here in 84. How many are the days of your servant? You notice that this kind of describes for us the briefness of human life, because we're not talking about years, we're not talking about eons, we're not talking about epochs, we're talking about days. How many days? We can count our years, can't we, in days? We can count our life in days. And the psalmist is saying, how many days? Now, he's already asked a question, when will you comfort me? He's asking another question here. This is a prayer of affliction. He says, how many days are my life? So, how long? Basically, he's saying, how long have I got to put up with this? And then he says, when? There's another question. When will you make a judgment on my persecutors? The persecutor there, we have this particular word twice in this section, this octanary. We have persecutors here in 84, and we have pursues me down in 86. Falsehood pursues me. And it's the very same Hebrew word, except that in this case, in 84, it's a noun. So it's his persecutors, but understand that it comes from the verb to pursue. So we understand then that the persecutors are his pursuers. They're chasing him. They want to grab him, And notice what the persecutors do. They have dug pits. So we know that there's something going on. There's someone, as I said, there's a face to this. There are people, his enemies, who are actively engaged in his ill will towards him. And he's asking the Lord, so how many days am I going to live? And when, by the way, are you going to make a judgment on these people who are pursuing me? Because I'm not going to live forever. The shortness of my life stands as a token in my eyes. And it's a token, it should be a token in our eyes too. We know that we're dying, right? You are dying, whether you're sick or not. Whether you have a terminal disease or not, you know life's going to end. Exactly, ladies and gentlemen, when are you going to deal with that thought and prepare yourself for eternity? Because it is coming. Now, if you're a believer and you have persecutors, you might be praying this prayer too. You might be asking the Lord, how long is this going to last, and when are you going to judge these people? Because look at what 85 says. Well, they've dug pits for me. And notice the word there, the perverse. Boy, we've had that word a bunch in Psalm 119. The perverse, this is his favorite word to describe the enemy in Psalm 119, the perverse. They've dug pits. Well, you know what a pit is. A pitfall that you dig out a hole in the ground, and then you cover the mouth of the hole with sticks and grass and leaves and dirt, so it looks like that it's just normal part of the ground, and then when you step on it, boom, you're down in it, and perhaps you put a trap in the bottom, spikes or something that's going to, injure or wound the animal you're trying to capture. Well, the law talks a lot about digging pits, because you're never to dig a pit for a human. You're never to dig a pit, and if you dig pits, you're to be careful that your neighbor or your neighbor's animals don't fall into it. So when he says the perverse have dug pits for me, see, that is against the law. And he knows it, and he's reminding the Lord, they've broken your law, so when are you going to take care of this? These people are pursuing me. You might be praying that very same prayer today. You might be crying the same cry that the martyrs cry. Lord, how long? Remember the martyrs in Revelation chapter 6, verse 10, under the altar? They're crying out to the Lord of heaven, how long before you judge those who have persecuted us? Well, I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we continue to look at this section of longing and wasting on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.